Hello, Fiona.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm all dressed up and clutching my orange.
Yes, yes, yes. I've got my cup of tea as well.
Good.
And before we get started, because we did say we were going to chat about AI
Yeah, we
this
did.
episode, but it's Halloween today, so we're going to
It is.
go off
Can't you
script.
tell?
Yeah. So in a minute we'll be chatting about festivals. But first of all, important question: what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I am being really corny. I'm drinking spiced pumpkin tea. I think it's rooibos.
Nice.
I don't know. It says black tea on the packet, but it tastes more like red bush. But it's really nice, actually. It's one of the bird and blend ones, and it's good. Spiced pumpkin seems a bit
Cliche.
corny this time of year, but it's good. It's good. It's really nice. How about you? What are you having?
I'm on another yogi, and this week it's choco. It's very tasty. I recommend it.
Choco, so presumably chocolate, is it?
Yeah, yeah. It's got definitely got that kind of warmth to it that you get from dark chocolate. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yes.
I
Uh,
noticed in this one it had little pumpkin shaped pieces of pumpkin in it in the tea bag.
nice. Cute.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
festivals. What are we going to
Mhm.
talk about? Do you celebrate festivals with your students? Do you think it's worth it?
Well, it's a big question, isn't it? I mean, where in the past, I always used to, and I think when you're working in a language school, often the school makes a lot
Yeah.
out of typically British celebrations, let's say. I don't think I've ever celebrated Diwali or anything else
Yeah, not really.
like
No.
that. Um,
Eid.
so I would say in the past it was kind of expected. But to be honest, I haven't done anything Halloweeny this week with any of my students, apart from talk about it, like, but just in
Right.
passing. And what about you?
But then you're online. We did it yesterday because my colleague doesn't work on a Friday. Um, so we had chocolate crispy cakes and I made a Spanish thing that you'll know called salmorejo because
Mhm.
it's, red and gooey. And my colleague made these amazing fairy cakes. She just made plain fairy cakes, but she took green butter icing to class, and she took a piping bag, and she took edible eyes, and she got the students making their own like monster faces and sticking eyes on top of these cakes. So that was very cool. So yeah, we just had, like a half hour. We didn't do much,
Yeah.
but
But I
it was
mean,
good. And
and are your students seeing a lot more of Halloween around anyway? Because I'm assuming in the UK there's more happening in terms of decorations, or it's certainly in the shops and things.
yeah, there's lots of stuff in the shops. And I've just been with a couple of the students just before the recording, and there was a lady busy decorating her house. And I very much doubt she's an English teacher, but shame because I'd love to say you're a genius. It looked like inflatable tentacles coming out of the windows of her house. And as I went past, she was hanging up jellyfish as well around
Mm.
the porch. I mean, these were huge, big tentacles coming out of the windows of her house. Big purple ones, like kraken.
I mean, saying that, like, it's Halloween. It's not typically a Spanish festival. Uh,
No,
where I live in San Fernando in recent years, the mayor has really invested
mm,
in Halloween as a way of bringing people from the local area into the town over the weekend.
yeah.
So there are tentacles on our town hall as well,
All right.
giant ones and big eyes, and there's googly eyes on the trees. It's great.
I think, and this relates to teaching as well. Well, I was about to say that, Catalonia in Spain, Barcelona and Girona and that area, They do celebrate. It's not Halloween they celebrate, but they have their own festival, celebrating basically chestnuts. Um, and I think that because it's halfway between, or roughly halfway between the equinox and the solstice, quite a few cultures do have a celebration,
Hmm.
um, sort of the coming of the dark kind of idea,
Mm.
because it's the time of year when it's all getting dark and gloomy. So it's the psychology. I mean, it's the same kind. I can't remember if we mentioned this before. It's the same in art. It's the same in films. It's the same in novels. The human brain likes contrast,
Mm.
and we'd remember things well with contrast. And I think that's why I like celebrating festivals because it gives a different kind of lesson. Suddenly we had cake and we had a visitor. We had somebody come in as well. It makes it memorable, and it makes the whole day memorable rather
Mhm.
than just the word pumpkin or the word, I don't know, googly eyes or whatever. Um, and yeah, I think it's easy to say that a festival belongs to, you just said, it's not really a Spanish festival. Well, but celebrating is, everybody
Mhm.
celebrates. And we often all, we all have songs or food or balloons or, I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's worth doing?
I mean, first of all, going back to what you said about kind of googly eyes and pumpkin, I think there is that element of when we do these sorts of lessons, and I know I've been guilty of this in the past as well, there tends to be like a word search or something to
Yeah,
find like this typical vocabulary, which, to
exactly.
be honest, is not high frequency.
No,
Um,
reindeer or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And around Christmas it's tinsel and ball, which I never use
Yeah.
at any other time of the year anyway. And so I think now I have a lot more of a critical perspective on the sort of things I do with my students, which makes me kind
Yeah.
of think, yes, it's a fun lesson, but how useful is it for them really? And could we be doing something else? Maybe, like you're saying, talking about celebrations rather than kind of saying, right, Halloween, this is everything about Halloween.
Yeah, this is
Is
it.
there a similar festival in your culture, or are there any other festivals around this time of year? Um,
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah, I
that.
think commonalities is a good thing rather than saying, this festival belongs to da da da. Particularly other things like Halloween and Christmas to an extent. A lot of people have the perception that it's an American thing, and it's not. And it wasn't about pumpkins, it was potatoes and turnips or neat Swedes. Um, but yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about discussing celebrating,
Hmm. Hmm.
finding the things that we have in common.
Yep.
Um, I mentioned to you just before we started recording that I had a conversation yesterday with one of my students about Christmas, and me saying something about, I don't know, if you want to book theatre tickets, you should book them soon because a lot of people celebrate Christmas. And she said, "Oh, I don't. It's a Christian thing." Um, and then we had a really interesting conversation about how it's a lot more than just Christian. It's sort of, I didn't get into paganism, but I was saying, the celebration of light in the dark and life in the winter and when it's cold, and
Hmm.
family and kindness and sharing and generosity and da da da. And she was saying, "Oh yeah, well, okay, that is we're celebrating." And I think her curiosity increased, and a lot of our teaching is about curiosity, and I don't think there's any difference between Christmas traditions and, I don't know,
Feeding of
Ayers Rock,
muertos.
Urulu, a lot of the stuff that's in course books. Um, but I do think there's an element of needing to get past the it belongs to
Hmm.
mentality
Hmm.
and look at the sharing. I mean, I I was talking about this as well with my students this week. I think a lot of teaching, particularly nowadays, perhaps, is about showing people what they have in common. um, getting philosophical now, perhaps. I don't
No,
know. I
it's
mean,
true.
because my classes, there's not necessarily just one nationality in them, but there might be two or three. There's not a huge range. How about you? Do you have,
I'd say, well, like my teenage classes, they're Italian.
right?
But then I do conversation classes as well, which are a much more mixed nationality, and they love hearing about how things are different and similar,
Exactly there.
across
That's how,
countries,
yeah.
across cultures. So yeah, I think that they love the differences because they love finding out, like you say, that curiosity
Yeah, new
about
stuff.
things
Yeah.
in other places.
Mm.
Um, but then yeah, there's a lot of shared, talking about what life was like when they were kids or
Yeah.
things like that that they can
We had
relate
that.
to.
We had that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't know who, if anybody watching knows this, but T and I are going to be training together next summer. And of course, for Sol, sharing one language, I've been doing it for quite a few years now, like, I don't know, 12 years or something. Um, and a lot of our trainees, well, all of our trainees are from Central and Eastern Europe, nearly all. And so their languages have shared roots,
Hmm.
apart from Romanians perhaps, but then with my Spanish, we can find it there. And they like finding, I mean, there's always conversation about the differences, but the stuff that really seems to sort of ignite the interest is finding the similarities because countries that used to be part of Yugoslavia or Czechoslovakia, whatever, they know that they have something in common, obviously. But it's finding, like, for example, the word moss, when you translate it into all these different languages, it sounds remarkably similar. It also sounds like moss, and
Mm.
it sounds like in Spanish musgo, and it sounds all the languages that we can find, the word for moss is very similar. Or, some idioms. This is going off topic, but it's just translating. I mean, strike while the iron is hot
Hmm.
is almost literally translatable in all their languages. So festivals is another area where you can say, well, how do you, what do you celebrate?
Hmm.
What's your typical cake like? Or and it brings people together. So even if it's like the Muslim New Year versus our New Year, it doesn't matter if it's the same date or a different date
Hmm.
or whatever, it's what do we do? What do we share? What do we have in common?
Hmm.
Why do we celebrate it? So yeah, I don't know. I actually I enjoy festivals as much as I enjoy any other topic, and I
Yeah.
definitely don't think it's off the table.
And I think that's really interesting as well, looking into the why for these celebrations. So, like we've said, Halloween, we tend to say now, oh, it's a very American festival.
Mm,
And there is a lot of capitalism in it. There's a lot of, buy all your plastic decorations and get all your sweets, which are filled with e-colors and things like that.
yeah.
But at its very heart, I mean, originally it's a Celtic celebration.
Well, yes, it's our lot, it's the Celts. Yeah.
Celts, sorry, Celts. Um,
Yes.
and I was chatting about this. One of my students, she shared a video with me that she's done with her adult students, although it's aimed at kids, um, teaching them about, the original traditions of
Mm,
Halloween and things. And even I learned things. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I knew
yeah.
it was Celtic. But things like that, they used to think that ghosts were walking the streets. And
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
right.
why
Yeah.
originally people started wearing masks and then that
Yeah,
developed into
because
costumes.
it's the period of the year when the fabric of the universe is at its thinnest.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's slightly shifted date. I think it used to be about the 8th of November because it is halfway between the equinox and the solstice. But
Mhm.
then the calendars are shifted and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. We managed to link it up this week with we've been talking about sustainability and recycling and whatever. And we started talking about festivals yesterday, and we've got a full thing on it on Monday. Um, and it was interesting how they were saying, "Oh, we're not going to dress up because we don't have much money."
Hmm.
It's too expensive to buy a costume. And I was going, buy? So, so we were talking about, we managed to kind of bring the two together with sustainability. And I think what you just said about people buying plasticky stuff, that's something else that they could discuss, or you could make, what can you make? What can you do? The fact that, it wasn't pumpkins when I was a kid. It was in Scotland, we call it a turnip, a neep. I think it's a Swede for English. The orange thing anyway.
Hmm.
And we used to make our lanterns out of that, not out of pumpkins. Turnips are cheap, you
Hmm.
know. Um, costumes were always homemade, cakes homemade. Um, we got monkey nuts and oranges and stuff. We didn't get sweets, so it is worth. You can link the two things together. You can get the students to think,
Hmm.
okay, in a sustainable way, or only using recycling, or how could you celebrate? And you can do that with any of the festivals, really,
Yeah.
when Valentine's Day comes up, if you want to do that. So I think it is worth, and it's actually worth doing this kind of sustainable thing to get them away from all this blooming Amazon stuff.
Or Temu nowadays. I hate Temu. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
think
don't
you're
know
absolutely right.
anything
Yeah.
about it, and I don't want
No, no,
to.
I've never used it. Every time it comes up on the screen, I swear at the screen. So yeah,
Do you
so
have a festival? Sorry, I'm interrupting.
no, no,
To
no, go.
say, is there a festival that you celebrate that you really like, um, you know, talking about or dealing with in class, or and have special activities or anything for class?
Now you've put me on the spot. Not that I can think of. Um, s- Having said that, I've seen Paulina. She does some wonderful materials, like around exam preparation. And so I think she's really good at putting together the theme so that the students are kind of, those who are expecting a festival themed lesson
Yeah,
get it. But there's also real pedagogical value. There's kind of
yeah, this is
essay
it.
preparation task around a text or something like that. So I think,
Yeah,
and I think if I did do festivals nowadays, that's much more the route that I would go down, kind of making sure the value is there as well.
yeah, this is it. That they get something at the end, yeah,
Hmm.
and not just bat and pumpkin.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, shall we leave it there? I mean, we'll probably come back to festivals again around Christmas time, I would imagine.
Yeah, Christmas, which is the winter solstice, which is Hanukkah, which is all kinds of other festivals. New Year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I just think yeah, it's something different. It's something nice. It's something to share, and a teacher can share memories of. And you don't have to be from an L1 speaking country either.
Yeah.
You'll have experiences of even just of studying it when you were plowing your way through some course book in 1987 or
Hmm.
whatever it was,
Hmm. Yeah.
as a student. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyway,
Yes. I promise not to be bar humbug as well when it gets to Christmas. I'll be much more
yeah.
festive. Fantastic. Well, let us know in the comments down below if you're celebrating or if you celebrated anything around Halloween or any other
Or
festival.
if you think it's even worth doing in class. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. What high frequency vocabulary have you been teaching your students? And don't forget as well to click like and subscribe and all of those different things that you
And
need
those
to do
things,
to
yes.
follow us on social media.
And enjoy your tea.
Indeed. Bye.